Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 12th. October 12th is the 285th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 286th in leap years, with 80 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is theological. Theological is an adjective that means a study of or pertaining to theology. So we have a word here that uses itself to describe itself. So let's dig a little deeper. As the word theological pertains to theology, let's take that one apart. The word theology comes to us through Latin, Greek before that, originally from a Proto-Indo-European root, theos, that has to do with religious concepts, and logos, that has to do with study or the study of. Whenever you see a word ending with logi, that means it's the study of whatever the first part of the word is. So theology is the study of religious concepts, and theological means pertaining to theology, having to do with the study of religious concepts. First known use of the word theological is in the 1400s. Theological. The word theological was suggested by YouTube viewer Benjamin X at BenjaminX3937. Thank you, Benjamin. And if you have a word you'd like us to examine in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, October 12th, 1492 is the day that Christopher Columbus and his crew made landfall in the Bahamas. This was the first of 4 trips he would make to what would come to be known as the New World. Knowledge of this New World led to a time we could think of as the Age of Discovery. Colonization of the Americas followed, of course, and transatlantic trade after that, and this time sometimes is thought of as the beginning of the modern era. Really, though, when you think about it, Columbus was looking for an alternate route to Asia, which is where he thought he was when he landed. That was in 1492, and by 1501, merchant and explorer Amerigo Vespucci recognized that these were separate continents. A couple of booklets were published under his name, in which he gave colorful descriptions of his voyages to the New World, and this inspired mapmaker Martin Waldseemüller to label his maps with the Latinized form of Amerigo Vespucci's name, America. Other mapmakers followed suit, and before you knew it, here we were with North and South America. Interestingly, it is unclear as to whether Amerigo Vespucci was ever even aware that the continents of the New World had been in effect named after him. Today's story, though, is about Columbus making landfall. There he was, trying to find an alternate route to Asia, in which he actually failed. Not to worry, though, the search for a westward route to Asia would be completed in 1521 by Magellan and his bunch, who also completed the first recorded circumnavigation of the globe. But that's another story for another day. Today's story is about Columbus and the day that he and his crew landed in the Bahamas, discovering America. The Salem witch trials were ended on October 12, 1692, by a letter from the province of Massachusetts Bay Governor William Phips. Apparently, he'd been away, and when he returned, he discovered that these witch trials had been going on, complete with convictions and executions, usually by hanging. Governor Phips served at the pleasure of the king and was pointedly aware of this fact. None of this witch trial business had been discussed with himself or reported to the king, much less agreed to, so he was pretty upset about it when he came home to find out that this had been going on. He put an immediate halt to it so that he could notify their majesties, the king and the queen. Thus ended that episode of witch trials on October 12, 1692. On October 12, 1773, America's first insane asylum opened, and that was Eastern State Hospital in Virginia. It's a psychiatric hospital in Williamsburg, Virginia, and it was built in 1773, the first public facility in the United States built strictly and specifically for the care and treatment of the mentally ill. A man named Francis Fauquier was the driving force behind this effort. He was the royal governor of the colony of Virginia, and it seems he had quite a heart for the mentally ill. He mentioned it several times. He recognized that out on the loose is not a safe or happy place for people with mental illness, but locking them up in jail or prison wasn't the answer either. One wonders if maybe he'd had some kind of personal experience that touched his heart. He kept bringing it up and talking about it, and one of the things he mentioned was, you take care of your poor, you also need a place for the mentally ill. He kept bringing it up until they finally did get underway with plans to build such a facility. Unfortunately, Governor Fauquier did not live to see this built, but passed away about 4 years before it was completed. But he certainly was the driving force behind it. Eastern State Hospital in Virginia, the first psychiatric hospital in the United States. I believe it's still there. It did burn down at some point, but was rebuilt in the 1980s, and as far as I understand, is still there. Today's song is Emotions by Mariah Carey. Emotions began a 3-week run in the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 on October 12, 1991. In this song, you can hear the influences of gospel, R&B, and disco, which also features the whistle register of Miss Carey's voice. Emotions was her 5th consecutive #1 song in the United States. Interestingly, she was the first and so far only musical artist whose first 5 singles topped the chart. Emotions by Mariah Carey, #1, October 12, 1991. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That playlist lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. Okay. Cacophony is a sound. Cacophony is a noun that... I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Alrighty. You got to read it the right way. Let's start over. It's 8 o'clock, so all of the reminders are going to be dinging. I forgot to turn those off. Okay, stop it. It's 8 o'clock. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.